The sky was a bruised shade of purple, hanging low over the sleepy town of Willow Creek, Oregon, as rain pelted the cracked sidewalks. Ethan Harper, a 24-year-old engineering student, trudged through the downpour, his worn backpack sagging under the weight of his textbooks and his worries. Debt from his late mother's medical bills loomed like a storm cloud, and his part-time job at a local garage barely kept him afloat. The world felt like it was closing in, suffocating him with every step. His phone buzzed, snapping him out of his spiraling thoughts. "Ethan Harper," he answered, voice weary. A polished, commanding voice responded. "Mr. Harper, this is Margaret Voss. I'd like to meet you. It's about your financial troubles." Ethan froze, rain dripping off his hood. "Who is this? How do you know?" 7 o'clock, the Willow Haven Cafe, she cut him off, her tone leaving no room for argument. "Don't be late." The line went dead. Confused but desperate, Ethan arrived at the cafe, its warm glow a stark contrast to the chilly night. In a corner booth sat a woman with sleek, silver hair and an air of untouchable wealth. Margaret Voss, 73, exuded power in her tailored blazer and sharp gaze. "Sit," she said, gesturing to the seat across from her. Ethan obeyed, feeling like a pawn in a game he didn't understand. "I know about your debts," Margaret began, sipping her espresso with calculated calm. "Your mother's hospital bills, your student loans. I can make them disappear." Ethan's stomach twisted. "And what's the catch?" Her lips curled into a faint smile. "Marry me." The words hit like a thunderclap. Ethan laughed, thinking it was a joke, but her unblinking stare silenced him. "This is a business arrangement," she continued. "I clear your debts, provide you with a comfortable life. In return, you become my husband. No romance, just a contract." "Why me?" Ethan asked, his voice shaking. "You're young, desperate, and unconnected," she said plainly. "I need someone to share my name, my estate. I need control over my legacy. You'll do." Ethan's mind raced. It was insane, but the weight of his debts, his sister's college tuition, and his own crumbling future pressed down hard. He left the cafe without giving an answer, the rain mirroring the chaos in his head. At home, he confided in his older brother, James, whose tired eyes reflected years of sacrifice. "Ethan, I hate this as much as you do," James said, voice low. "But if she can save us, maybe it's worth considering." The next morning, Ethan met Margaret again. "I'll do it," he said, his voice hollow. She nodded, as if she'd known all along. "Good. We'll handle the paperwork immediately." A week later, on a foggy April morning in 2025, Ethan stood in a small courthouse, wearing a suit Margaret had bought. The ceremony was cold, mechanical, only her lawyer and a clerk as witnesses. When the officiant declared them married, Margaret's smile was polite but distant. "Welcome to your new life, Mr. Harper," she said as they stepped into the drizzle. Ethan glanced at his reflection in a puddle, wondering if he'd just traded his freedom for salvation. Margaret's estate loomed like a fortress on the outskirts of Willow Creek. Its Gothic arches and sprawling gardens screamed old money, but the dark windows felt like eyes watching his every move. Inside, the mansion was a maze of polished marble and silence. Margaret's staff moved like ghosts, their faces unreadable. "Your room," Margaret said, leading him to a lavish suite with velvet drapes and a view of the misty forest beyond. "Dinner's at 8. That night, Ethan sat at a dining table long enough for a dozen guests, but it was just the two of them. Margaret, dressed in emerald silk, cut her steak with surgical precision. "Settling in?" she asked, her tone more formal than curious. "It's overwhelming," Ethan admitted. "This place feels like a museum." "You'll adjust," she replied coolly. "Or you won't." He hesitated, then pressed, "You never mentioned your late husband. What was he like?" Margaret's fork paused midair. He was a visionary, she said, her voice tightening. Until he crossed the wrong people. People like your mother. Ethan's breath caught. My mother? What does she have to do with this? Margaret's eyes locked onto his, sharp as a blade. Some debts go beyond money, Ethan. You'll see soon enough. Her cryptic words gnawed at him. That night, unable to sleep, Ethan wandered the mansion's dim halls. Locked doors lined the corridors, their ornate handles gleaming like forbidden secrets. Whispers from the staff followed him, fragments of conversations that stopped when he drew near. She always has a reason. Does he even know? It's only a matter of time. One evening, in Margaret's study, Ethan spotted a small, intricately carved key on her desk. Heart pounding, he slipped it into his pocket, glancing over his shoulder. That night, he crept to a locked door he'd noticed before, its frame tucked in a shadowy corner of the west wing. The key fit perfectly. The lock clicked open, and Ethan stepped into a room frozen in time, dusty furniture, faded curtains, and a stack of yellowed papers on a desk. Among them were photos, a younger Margaret, a man who must have been her husband, Victor, and another couple Ethan didn't recognize. Then he found it, a file detailing a failed business deal from decades ago. His mother's name was scrawled across it, tied to a real estate scam that had bankrupted Victor Voss. A handwritten note in Margaret's elegant script seethed with rage, "Your betrayal cost us everything. Victor's heart gave out because of you. Your family will pay." Ethan's hands trembled. The final document was their marriage certificate, dated weeks before he'd even met Margaret. She'd planned this from the start. A creak behind him made his blood run cold. "Curious, aren't you?" Margaret's voice sliced through the silence. She stood in the doorway, her silhouette stark against the hall's faint light. "Why?" Ethan demanded, holding up the papers. "This is about my mother? You married me to punish her?" Margaret's composure cracked, her eyes blazing. "Your mother destroyed us. She cheated Victor, left him broken. He died because of her, Ethan. You're my way of balancing the scales." "I was a child," Ethan shouted. "I had nothing to do with it. Blood carries debt," she hissed. "You'll learn that soon enough." She turned and vanished into the dark, leaving Ethan clutching the papers, his mind reeling. The next day, Ethan hired a private investigator, a grizzled man named Carl who'd seen too much to be surprised. Carl's report confirmed the worst: Margaret had orchestrated their marriage as part of a decades-long vendetta. But there was more. Margaret was funneling money through offshore accounts, rebuilding her fortune through shady deals. Ethan was her cover, a prop to maintain her image while she operated in the shadows. Determined to break free, Ethan contacted his friend Leela, a law student with a knack for digging up dirt. "If I can prove I was coerced," he told her, "can I void the marriage?" "Possibly," Leela said, scanning the documents he'd smuggled out. "But you need hard evidence. And Ethan, be careful. She's dangerous." Late one night, Ethan rifled through Margaret's office again, finding a ledger detailing her latest scheme, a fraudulent charity funneling millions to her accounts. It was enough to expose her. The next morning, he confronted her in the grand parlor, the ledger and Carl's report in hand. "I know everything," he said, voice steady. "Your revenge, your scams. It ends now." Margaret's face paled, but she recovered quickly. "You think you can outsmart me? I've buried men far cleverer than you." "Then why are you shaking?" Ethan shot back. For a moment, something like vulnerability flickered in her eyes. "You remind me of Victor," she said softly. "He was stubborn, too. I didn't expect to care about you, Ethan. But this isn't just about me anymore." Before he could respond, tires crunched outside. Police officers stormed in, Leela trailing behind them. Margaret Voss, an officer declared, "You're under arrest for fraud and money laundering." Margaret's gaze locked onto Ethan. "You did this? You gave me no choice," he said, unflinching. As they led her away, she paused, her voice low. "You think this is over? Revenge has a way of coming back, Ethan. Watch your back." Weeks later, Ethan sat in a courtroom, testifying against Margaret. His evidence ensured a conviction, but he spoke of her pain, her loss, urging leniency. He didn't want her destroyed, just stopped. Margaret's estate was liquidated, the proceeds split between her victims and Ethan. He used his share to clear his family's debts and fund a scholarship for students like him, named after Victor Voss, a nod to the man caught in the crossfire of his mother's mistakes. A year later, Ethan received a letter from Margaret, written from prison. "Ethan, I thought revenge would heal me, but it only built a cage. Your courage showed me what I'd forgotten: mercy is stronger than hate. Thank you for being better than I was. Use the world well." Margaret. Ethan folded the letter, a quiet peace settling over him. He'd turned pain into purpose, breaking the cycle of vengeance. As he walked across the Oregon State campus, the sky was clear, the weight of the past finally lifted. Thank you for joining this gripping tale of betrayal, redemption, and the power of choice. Ethan's journey reminds us that even in the darkest moments, we can choose to rise above. If this story moved you, share it with others and spread the message of hope and second chances. Until next time, cherish the lessons life teaches us.